Imagine that everything you believed about Jesus' message has been shaped, filtered and reshaped by centuries of institutions that chose what should be remembered and what should be forgotten. What if there were a gospel that didn't mention original sin, it didn't speak of a redeeming cross, and didn't promote temples or churches as obligatory paths to the divine? And what if that gospel came from someone who walked alongside Jesus himself, someone who knew him deeply, Thomas, the one called Didymus, his spiritual brother? Prepare yourself, because in the next few minutes we are going to explore one of the most enigmatic and revolutionary works of early Christian spirituality, the Gospel of Thomas, a text hidden for centuries, buried in the sands of the Egyptian desert and rediscovered in 1945 in Nag Hammadi, along with other Gnostic texts that challenged the official narrative of institutionalized Christianity. And most importantly, at the end of this journey we will reveal the most powerful and transformative teaching contained in this forgotten gospel, truth that will forever change your understanding of the kingdom of God, of yourself, and of what it truly means to awaken spiritually. Before continuing, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with those who feel there is something beyond dogma. Comment below if you've heard of this gospel before, or if this is your first time exploring the teachings of Thomas. I promise that what you discover here may shake your foundations and open a door to eternity. The Gospel of Thomas is not a narrative of events. It doesn't speak of miracles of virgin births or physical resurrections. It's a compendium of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus, transmitted in a cryptic, often disconcerting poetic form. It's not meant to be understood with rational logic, but with an awakened heart. The first sentence of the text is a direct declaration of its power. These are the secret words that the living Jesus spoke, and that Didymus Judas Thomas wrote down. Whoever finds the meaning of these words will not taste death. You realize it doesn't say, neither those who believe in my sacrifice on the cross, nor those baptized by a church. Says whoever finds the meaning here, knowledge and inner understanding. Replace dogma and ritual. This gospel belongs to the Gnostic tradition, which teaches that the divine spark is within us and that the true path to enlightenment is remembering who we really are. There is no original sin, no inherited guilt. What exists is forgetfulness, ignorance of our sacred origin. Instead of promising redemption, the Gospel of Thomas, which emphasizes the future through a religious institution, insists time and again that the kingdom of God is here now within us. If those who guide you say, look, the kingdom is in heaven, then the birds of the air will precede you. If they say, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is within you and outside of you. This vision contrasts powerfully with the message of traditional Christianity, which places salvation outside of us, conditioned by rituals, dogmas, and mediators. Thomas's message is clear. You don't need a cross, a church, or priests. What you need is to look within yourself, to awaken, to remember. And yet this text was silenced. Why? Because it puts spiritual power in the hands of the individual, because it liberates, because it doesn't need external structures, and therefore it directly challenges ecclesiastical authority. Imagine what history would be like if the Gospel of Thomas had been accepted as part of the official canon. What would churches be like today? Would they even exist, or would we all be compromised? With a free inner spirituality centered on self-exploration and awakening, this gospel makes no mention of the crucifixion as a redemptive sacrifice. Jesus does not die for your sins because in Thomas, sin as such is not the problem. The problem is ignorance and forgetfulness. And the solution is not to believe, but to know oneself, to find the light that already dwells within. This does not mean that the Gospel of Thomas denies the existence of suffering or human error, but it redefines the purpose of the spiritual life. It's not about escaping punishment, but awakening from the dream. It's not about redeeming oneself before a judge, but remembering that one is part of the divine. And for many, that is a threat. And for others, the most liberating of revelations. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that there is something beyond what you were taught? Have you had moments of profound intuition, as if a forgotten part of you briefly awakened? And what if those moments were echoes of an ancient truth that this gospel came to remind us of? In the next few minutes, let's delve even deeper into this message. We will analyze some of the most impactful sayings of Jesus according to Thomas and see how each one is a key, an invitation to awakening. Finally, we will reveal the most powerful saying, the one that holds the greatest mystery and the deepest promise. Are you ready to continue this journey toward the forgotten, toward the hidden, toward what has always been within you? As we delve into the teachings of the Gospel of Thomas, something becomes clear. This is not a gospel to be read superficially. Each saying is a door, each word a key. Jesus doesn't speak like a teacher imposing rules, but like a sage who provokes the soul to remember what it already knows. Let's consider one of the most provocative sayings in the text. Jesus said, "If those who guide you tell you, 'See, the kingdom is in heaven,' then the birds of the air will precede you. If they tell you, 'It is in the sea,' then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is within you and outside of you." This phrase is revolutionary because it not only challenges the notion of an afterlife as the only sacred destination, rather, he points out that the kingdom, that is, the divine, the eternal, the enlightened, is here now, accessible, breathing with you. It is not on altars, nor in hierarchies, nor reserved for a select few. It is in your own consciousness, and this changes everything. Thomas presents us with a radically different Jesus, not as a sacrificed redeemer, but as a guide toward inner enlightenment. His words are not commandments, but mirrors that reflect our latent divinity. Every saying confronts us, unsettles us, shakes us. Jesus said, "Know yourself, and you will understand that you are a child of the living one." Do you realize what this implies? You are not a sinner waiting for salvation. You are a spark of the living one from the eternal origin. You have forgotten who you are, and the purpose of these teachings is to remind you. That is why this gospel does not mention the cross, because it is not the death of Jesus that saves, but the awakening of your consciousness. It does not mention original sin, because evil is not inherent in you, but a result of ignorance. And it does not mention the church, because the true temple is not the church. It is within you where the forgotten light burns silently. The spirituality that springs from Thomas is intimate, profound, and free from structures. It is an invitation to look inward, to silence the noise of the world, and to listen to that voice that whispers in the silence of the soul. Jesus said, "If you bring to light what is within you, it will save you. If you do not bring it, what you do not bring will destroy you." This saying cannot be ignored. Here it is not about moralizing or doctrines. It is about the potential of inner fire, about bringing to the world that part of you that is connected to the whole, to what the ancients called O1, the logos, the source, and how this is done through inner knowledge, through self-knowledge, which is not limited to knowing your name, your tastes, or your history, but goes much further. It is a reminder that you are not just flesh, you are not just thought, you are spirit, and you are here to awaken. Jesus in this gospel does not ask for blind obedience. He asks for attention, he asks for discernment. He asks us for courage to look beyond appearances. And the official narrative, one of the most enigmatic sayings, it is also one of the most powerful. Jesus said, "Blessed is the lion that the man will eat, so that the lion will become a man, and cursed is the man that the lion will eat, so that the lion will become a man." This symbolic language has been interpreted in many ways. But in the Gnostic context, the lion represents unconscious impulses, primitive desires, and uncontrolled passions. When man dominates the lion, he integrates and transforms it, becoming wise. But when the lion devours the man, when passions dominate consciousness, the lion represents the lion. The soul is lost in the darkness of oblivion. This is the kind of teaching you don't hear in traditional sermons. It's raw, symbolic, and points directly to inner transformation. And yet, how many times have you felt that struggle within you? That battle between who you know you are and what the world urges you to do? That tension between the light you yearn for and the shadows you drag along? The Gospel of Thomas doesn't judge you for it. It calls you to observe it, to understand it, and to transcend it. Because everything in this text points toward a single goal. Awakening. Jesus said, "I am the light that is above all. I am the all. From me came the all, and toward me extends the all. Broken a log, there I am. Lifted up a stone, there you will find me." This is not theology. It is pure mysticism. It is an invitation to recognize that the divine is not in symbols or dogmas, but in every living thing. That Jesus is not just a historical figure, but a universal consciousness, a frequency that you can find within yourself if you are willing to see. And here we arrive at a crucial question. And if this gospel was silenced not because it was false, but because it was too true, think for a moment. What kind of world we would have if every human being knew, without a doubt, that they carry within them the light of the living, if they didn't need anyone's permission or blessing to access the sacred, if the church were their heart and their altar, if inner silence were their only source of comfort, structures would fall, power would be decentralized, and each soul would become its own temple. That is precisely what this gospel proposes, and that is why it was buried, forgotten, silenced. But not anymore. Today we are unearthing it together, and in the next part, we will explore some of the most revealing sayings, those that contain the most powerful keys to spiritual awakening. And finally, you will reach the last and most important one of all, the one that can change your life forever. Because sometimes a single phrase can ignite a fire that burns for all eternity. When one delves into the Gospel of Thomas, one understands that it is not about blindly believing, but about understanding from the soul. This gospel proposes a direct experience, with the truth, without intermediaries, without external structures. His message is so profound that it challenges everything we have been taught about the path to the divine. One of the most transformative sayings in this text is this. Jesus said, "If they ask you where you come from, tell them we come from the light, and from where the light came into existence by itself, established itself and manifested itself in his image. If they ask you, are you her? To answer, we are his children, and we are the chosen ones of the living Father." This is not the language of submission. This is the language of awakening. Here there is no room for original sin or inherited guilt. Instead, there is a recognition of origin. We come from the light. We are its reflection, children of the living one. This is profoundly subversive to the traditional message that claims we are born in sin and must be redeemed by external sacrifices. You can feel the power of this declaration. You don't need redemption. You need to remember. You shouldn't fear judgment, but rather awaken from oblivion. This gospel does not condemn, it invites. It does not divide between pure and impure. It points out that we all carry the spark of eternity waiting to be ignited. Another striking saying, and perhaps one of the most revolutionary, is that Jesus said, "The kingdom of the Father is like a man who had good seed. His enemy came at night and sowed weeds among the good seed, preventing any fruit from growing. When the men saw this, they asked, 'Do you want us to go and pull them up?' He replied, 'No, so that while you are pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest.'" The wisdom here is profound. It's not about separating the righteous from the impure right away, but about allowing each soul to grow, define itself, and reveal itself. Jesus is speaking here of spiritual patience, of understanding the human process. It's not about punishing the sinner, but about allowing everyone to flourish and for discernment to ultimately come from the maturity of the Spirit. And there's more. Jesus said, "Let the one who seeks not cease seeking until he finds. And when he finds, he will be amazed." And when he is amazed, he will be astonished, and he will reign over all. This is one of the most quoted sayings from the Gospel of Thomas, and rightly so. It describes the spiritual path as an incessant search, not a fixed doctrine to seek, to find, to be moved, to marvel, and only then to reign, but not to reign as dominion over others, but as mastery over oneself, over the inner world. This is diametrically opposed to many institutional religious interpretations that teach submission, obedience, and dependence on external authorities. Here, Jesus speaks of inner empowerment, from a kingdom that is not conquered with power but with awareness. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you sought answers in external places and felt that something inside you knew even before you heard? How many times have you felt that stirring sense of truth when something resonates deeply within you? That stirring is what this gospel describes. It is the soul awakening. It is the divine spark recognizing its reflection. And it is no coincidence that these teachings have been excluded from the traditional Bible, because they empower, because they awaken, because they set us free. And as Jesus said in the Gospel of John, the truth will set you free, but in the Gospel of Thomas, it is revealed that this truth is within you, waiting to be found. Jesus said, "Whoever knows the whole but does not know himself lacks everything." This phrase is devastating in its clarity. You can know theories, dogmas, rituals, but if you do not know yourself, you have found nothing. This is the core of all authentic mystical tradition, self-knowledge as the path to the divine. And here we come to one of the most powerful sayings, one that has shaken theologians and mystics alike. Jesus said, "I am the light that is above them all. I am the all. The all came from me, and the all returned to me. A piece of wood broken into a tree, and there I am, a stone lifted up, and there you will find me." Can you imagine the impact of these words in an era where the divine was the monopoly of temples, rituals, and religious hierarchies? Jesus affirms here that he is in everything, that he is the all, that he can be found in the simplest things, in wood, in stone. It is a completely non-dual vision, where the divine is not separate from the world but permeates it, and most strikingly, if it is in everything, it is also in you. The conclusion of these teachings is none other than this: you are the temple. You are the seeker and the one found. There is no shorter path to the kingdom than inner silence, self-exploration, and remembrance. That is why the Gospel of Thomas does not need a cross, original sin, or a church, because it is not about structures, but about awakening. It is not a religion to obey, but a flame to ignite. And now we have reached the threshold of the most powerful revelation. In the next part, we will explore the final saying, which many consider the hidden key to Thomas's message, a profound mystery that, when understood, can not only change your life, but reveal who you have been from the beginning. You are one step away from igniting the eternal spark. Jesus said, "I will reveal to you what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, what no hand has touched, and what has never been conceived in the heart of man." These words take us to the threshold of the unnameable. They don't refer to external knowledge, but to a direct experience with the source of being. What Jesus promises here in this gospel is not a new doctrine, nor an alternative theology. It is an inner revelation that transcends the senses and breaks the limits of the mind. And what is it that no one has seen, heard, or imagined? It is your true face, not the one you see in the mirror, nor the one the world has molded. It is your eternal essence, that which was not born and will not die. She who was with you before words, before fear, before oblivion. This is the most hidden jewel of the Gospel of Thomas, not a mystery reserved for a select few initiates, but a forgotten truth buried beneath centuries of dogma, rites, and controls. A truth that is now seeking you as much as you have sought it. Jesus said, "When you become two, you will become one. And when you become one, you will say, 'Move, mountain,' and it will move." This saying holds one of the greatest secrets of the spiritual path. The union of opposites, the splitting we experience between body and soul, light and shadow, world and spirit, is just an illusion. True transformation occurs when we remember that everything is connected, that there is no real separation. When you, the seeker, reconcile with your inner fragments, when you integrate your shadow with your light, when you stop fighting with yourself, the miracle happens. You become one, and then everything is possible. This isn't about moving external mountains. It's about the internal mountains, the doubts, the traumas, the limiting beliefs, inherited fears, all that has come between you and the divine. When you become one with it, you can transform everything because you discover that you and the universe are not separate things. They are the same dance. Jesus said, "He who is near to me is near to the fire, and he who is far from me is far from the kingdom." This fire is not a punishment. It is the fire of living knowledge, of ignited consciousness. To be near to Jesus, in the sense of the Gospel of Thomas, does not mean attending temples or obeying commandments. It means embracing the truth even if it burns. To seek it, even though it hurts, means to look within oneself until there is no more shadow left to hide. And yet, this gospel also acknowledges the risk, because not everyone wants that fire. Not everyone is ready to burn in the light of reality. Many prefer comfortable certainties, well-trodden paths, and safe formulas. But the true seeker, and you who are here, listening to this, knows that there is something more. Something that cannot be explained but can be experienced. Something that needs no proof because it precedes all evidence. Jesus said, "He who has found the world and become rich should renounce it." This is not a call to reject the material world. It is a warning about attachment. He who has seen the world for what it is, impermanent, illusory, and ever-changing, must release his dependence on it, because only by letting go can one receive the eternal. The Gospel of Thomas is a map, but not a map of places, rather of states of the soul. It does not lead you to a church, nor to a dogma, nor to a cross. It leads you inward, toward the fire that burns without being consumed, toward the knowledge that is not learned. Instead, we remember, and finally we arrive at the most powerful saying, the one that has been debated, feared, and for some revealed as the master key to the entire gospel. Jesus said, "When you come to know who you are, then you will be known, and you will know that you are the children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and you are that poverty." These words are the beating heart of Thomas's entire message. Do you understand? True poverty is not material. It is ignorance of oneself, not knowing who you are. It is to live exiled from your own divinity, to walk through the world as a shadow of what you could be, to beg outside for what has always been within. But when you know who you are, when you remember, everything changes. You are no longer a slave to fear. You no longer seek approval, salvation, or authority, because you have found the source within you. You have seen the face of the living being reflected in your soul. And at that moment you are known. The entire universe recognizes you because you are no longer asleep, because you speak the language of light again. Imagine for a moment what would happen if this truth were taught from childhood. If instead of telling us we are sinners by nature, we were taught that we are children of light. If instead of cultivating fear of punishment, we cultivated wonder at the mystery. If instead of depending on external structures, we were guided to look toward the fire that dwells in our hearts. That is the silent revolution of the Gospel of Thomas. It's not a text for believers. It is a mirror for seekers. It doesn't tell you what to think. It invites you to awaken. It doesn't offer future salvation. It offers present revelation, and that, dear listener, can be more powerful than any miracle. Now I ask you, are you ready to leave behind the poverty of forgetfulness? Are you willing to burn in the fire of knowledge? Are you prepared to remember who you are and become that? Because if you are, then you have already taken the first step. And if you have come this far, this message has not been by chance. Perhaps, just perhaps, what you forgot has begun to remind you of yourself. Thank you for joining me on this journey to the gospel. If this content resonated with you, Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and share this video with those who are ready to awaken. Because the truth isn't imposed. It ignites, and when it does, no world is ever the same again. Thank you for watching.